Welcome to Issues and Society podcast by 71 Media, where we treat topics that has been ravaging the society for a very long time. And today we are going to be treating a rather delicate topic. We're going to be talking about the neglect of the boy child and its impact on the Nigerian society. But before we go on, I have with me a wonderful guest. I have Mrs. Adejoke Akinremi. She is a clinical psychologist. She's presently at the Public Health Department, FCTA. She's a wife, a mother, and a lover of God. We're glad to have you on the show, Ma. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Okay. So, like I said, we're talking about the neglect of the boy child and its impact on the Nigerian society. This is a topic that is complex and has been shied away for a very long time. We tend to put major focus on the girl child, not like the girl child is not important, but we tend to put major focus on the girl child for a very long time, and it's looking like the boys just come to the world to exist. Nobody cares about it. And luckily for us, June is the men's mental health month. So I think it's a very good timing to talk about this. So first off, let's start with before one becomes a man, starts as a boy. So let's start with the boy child. Growing up in major Nigerian homes, you hear parents put lots of more pressure and all that on the girl child, like doing the house chores for the girl child, cooking for the girl child, preparing the children for marriage, the girl child. Anything you do, you're a girl, you're going to get married, and it looks like nobody actually looks at the side of the boy. So the boys just grow up with whatever they think the society teaches them, they are forced to learn on their own, and some of these things are not all correct and all that. So, what do you have to say about the situation?
Okay. Thank you very much. So the first thing I would like to say is when we hear about neglect, people think general idea is that maybe the child is not well clothed, doesn't eat good food or something, or not supervised enough. But it's actually more than that.
Okay.
Like it's actually more than that. You need to take care of children generally. There's what we call educational neglect.
Okay.
That's when the child is supposed to start school and all that, and there's delay, or the child skips school a lot and all that. There's emotional neglect.
Yes.
You know, when children experience domestic violence in the house and all that. But coming down to your question now, when we talk about the general, what is obtainable, what is common in Nigeria is that most times we prepare the female children, we prepare the girl child a lot. You find out in some houses that, in fact, the girl child would go to the kitchen, help the mother in the kitchen and all that, and even when she's done, she will bring the food to the boys and all that. Does that mean that we are not raising the boy child to be independent? Does that mean that we are raising the boy child not to be responsible? We don't really inculcate the same values that we give to the female child, right? We teach the girl child to show empathy,
Yes.
to be responsible, to show their weaknesses, to show their pain, to cry when they're hurt and all that, but it's slightly different.
It's not slightly.
It's slightly, not in all cases. We have some houses that
What's the rate? What's the ratio?
okay, so it's higher for the female child.
Okay.
Right, it's higher. Like so, but at the end of the day, I think we need more awareness. We need more awareness. We need more, I think, mentorship programs for the boy child. At the same time, I think it's as a result of our upbringing, right? Our parents do not have enough tools.
Okay.
They were raised this way. So they are passing on what they learned, right? I think few of our parents are exposed enough to know that, okay, they can do things differently. They can actually teach differently. You know, there's something we call emotional intelligence. It's not so common right now, unless most times people go into marriages and you're not so prepared about what you're to expect when you start having children. There are a lot of things that contribute to this actually. There are a lot of things that contribute to it. If you are to start today, I bet if
We start and
Finish
stop
something.
wherever we stop. Okay, let's major on the psychological and the emotional neglect, or will I say abuse, or whatever word, for lack of better words, on the boy child. We're talking about teaching young girls to express themselves, to be vulnerable, to be able to ask for help,
Yes.
say it as it is, what's wrong with you. But you hear them tell the boy child, you are a man, suck it up, a man is not supposed to cry, and all this. The effect of this now is this young boy becomes a man, and he doesn't even know how to ask for help. He doesn't know how to show his emotions. You see some of them come off as aggressive. Some of them think not being emotional is not showing empathy. I don't know who taught people, who gave men the orientation that not being emotional is being wicked, because that's what they're doing now. You don't want to appear as emotional. So you see somebody you claim to care about going through something, and you go, "Oh, you'll be fine, you'll be fine." What's that? It goes ahead down to their relationships and marriage.
So, first things first, I think it has to do with parenting styles,
Okay.
right? We have different types of parenting styles, and if I explain further, I'm sure you know where the category you fall into.
They need to know. Please
So-
explain.
So, there's authoritative
Okay.
parenting style. So, I think for now, that's still like the best type of parenting style, because as much as the parent is actually firm, they still have certain guidelines, right? You're you're encouraged when you do the right thing, and there's this some sort of punishment, not flogging now, not saying harsh words and all that, but there are consequences, right, for your actions and all that. They kind of relate with you. They hear you out, but at the same time, they are firm. Then there's authoritarian. So for the authoritarian parenting style is basically about control. You're going out, if you step out there, don't come back to this house. And that's it. They don't care if anything happens. Not like they don't actually care, but their word is their word.
Their word
It's
is final.
rule, it's final.
You go out, you must be back before
Yes.
6. They don't care if it's raining or if there was traffic, or just be in the house before 6.
They can actually send you out. If you don't come back to this house before 7, don't bother coming back. You know those kind of scenarios, right? So the authoritarian parenting styles actually expose children, right? To it makes them withdrawn. It makes them vulnerable. At the end of the day, you find out that children that grow up in this kind of setting are so vulnerable to the extent that they open up to the wrong people outside. At the end of the day, they are most of them practice substance use, substance
Yes,
abuse.
to be able to suppress whatever they are
Yes,
feeling. and
they
all
are
that.
they are so prone to suicide.
Oh.
For some that are withdrawn, that do not have friends, that are they are not even allowed to go out at some point.
They're not allowed to mingle with the neighborhood kids.
So they can their social life is not it. You understand? It affects their social life. They go out and they need some form of substance to be able to face other people outside, to be able to talk to somebody. It's really, really affects. So it's not really only about the boy child. This is like the general parenting style, like generally, right? It could be for the male child, it could be for the female child, but specifically for the male child, right? Most times I think, okay, I've not mentioned there's another parenting style that allows kids to do whatever they want. The parents allow them, they can do anything they want. In fact, their parents are always saying yes to whatever they
don't
give
care.
them money. Not like they don't care, but they just feel like their children should be free. So most times you notice this in the elites, right? Most that are really, really rich, they leave their kids for the nannies to take care of and all that.
They're not present.
Yes, they are not present. They give them everything. The children are exposed to lots of money at very tender age and all that. So at the end of the day, you find out that children from these settings, right? It disturbs the normal way they should. It affects the normal way they should function.
You see life from a totally different
Different points
perspective.
of view. Yes, for the one that is quite exposed, that the parents gives free money, end up doing drugs sometimes, right? End up doing drugs because they have the money. They sometimes they buy friendship with the money.
Yes.
You understand? They attract the wrong set of people. Most people around them are not actually real friends, but they actually leech because they can actually get funds and all that. So at the end of the day, they grow up to be, men that you can imagine the kind of children this kind of men would
Raise.
raise eventually. Most times, this kind of people end up with good partners, right? The wives suffer as a result of this, the children as well suffer. So we're actually, going round and round and, giving out the same thing that they actually got from their own parents. You understand? So that's just a basic thing.
This is really, like I said, it's a delicate issue. So still on emotional and psychological, let's look at molestation of the boy child. Growing up, you hear our mothers, our parents tell the girl children, if anybody touch you here, come and tell me. Don't allow any brother to call you my wife. Like it instills so much cautiousness, in the girl child. These things I don't hear them say to the boy child. And the amount of molestation, sexual abuse on the boy child is underreported. And even the ones that they come to talk about, you see maybe someone comes to talk about it as an adult, and you hear other people say as if say you don't enjoy it. They don't know, they feel like rape is just to the female gender, only a woman can be raped. People don't believe a man can be raped.
Yes.
A man cannot, first off, he doesn't even come out to say he was raped. Then the very few, the 1% of the 1% that comes out to say I was raped is being mocked. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you were raped? Didn't you enjoy it? Like, you're not a man. I mean, you're trying to tell me that a woman overpowered.
You should be lucky. You should see yourself.
You should see, I wish I was in your position.
Yes.
And this thing messes with some of them. Some of them, again, there are some men that are scared of sex. Some men become
some become addicted.
Exactly, some become addicted to it. Some
most become addicted.
So please just help us talk on this molestation thing, the awareness.
Concerning what you just said, I've met a few women, right? That in fact somebody personally mentioned at some point, and she said, "My children are boys. They just stay outside anytime, like they can just
yes,
stay.
You see,
I don't have to worry."
Yes, you see, they tell the female children like they give you a coffee of 7, 8, but the boys can come back at any time.
And these are boys of say 6, 7 years. Yes, they can actually play around. And
that young.
So at some point when I have my kids inside, they'll be like, there are times that when they see my kids out, they'll be like, you're outside or you're out of your prison.
Wow.
You understand? And of course, I think it's ideal for parents not to feel judged. Make sure you know what you want for your kids. Make sure you know how you want to raise your kids. And when things like this are flying, it doesn't really get to you. You know this is what you want to do. This is how you want to raise your kids. Be intentional about it. Because most of my male clients actually opened up to me that they were actually, the first time they had sex was actually
from the housekeeper, yes, the cousins,
the housekeeper, the nanny, some aunties on the streets that will lure them with sweets, come get sweets and all that. And most of them become addicted to sex. Right? They become addicted to sex. They are not satisfied by one person. You understand? Like sexualized. You understand? So at the end of the day, even when most of them do not come out to complain, they are really suffering.
The effect is long term.
The effect is long term.
I'm not excusing cheating, but this could also lead a man to be promiscuous, even in marriage. You see that he can't control himself, and
one thing people do not understand is most times they feel like, okay, maybe it's not really a big deal, and that is one problem. That is why we need to, have more awareness program, right? We need to encourage men to speak out more. We need to encourage men to speak out more because, okay, so imagine that a man that was abused by the nanny grows up to an adult, gets married, right? Is a grown up man now, is an adult, is married, and he simply can't be satisfied with his wife alone. So
Yeah.
he ends up cheating, sleeping with the housekeeper, going out, and all that. It's either or two things. Eventually, it will affect the marriage.
Yes.
When it affects the marriage, please, will it not affect the children?
Yes, ma'am.
When it affects the children, in fact,
It becomes a
before it
cycle.
even leads to divorce, these children, it affects them emotionally, it affects them psychologically, because they are living in a house where they hear daddy and mommy arguing all the time. They see daddy coming home
With a different woman, or
with
the
a
boy
different
sees,
woman,
the teenage
or
boy
sees
sees
the
his father
the
outside.
mom crying always, or maybe the mother even complains and the man lands her slap on her face and all that. It's a ripple effect. You understand? So it's affecting the children as well. It goes on and on and on, and at the end of the day, that child now is probably going to grow up to believe that maybe it's a normal
Yeah,
thing to
yes.
do, right? Maybe it's a normal thing to do, but at the end of the day, we need to find a way to at least talk about these things, encourage men to talk, and it even boils down to the fact that from research now, we've come to realize that women have more health-seeking habits. When something happens, before you feel some type of way in your body,
Straight
you
to
are
the
out to the
hospital.
hospital
Yes.
to check. But most men will wait for when their wives go for antenatal before they'll say, "Have you checked your HIV status?" So when the HIV test comes out negative, well, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's actually very, very good for us to, encourage men to come out more. There are so many, let me say, okay, so the mortality rate, right, for men when it comes to all these cardiovascular diseases is actually higher. But when you check like the number of people that go out for assessments, people that go out to be checked,
Women.
the number of women
Women.
like is higher.
Yes.
But when it comes to people that die more, they are men. So come to think of it, where did it start from? I'm a strong man.
Yes.
You're feeling some type of way.
The man you be chest
And
down.
you be chest down. Then you are feeling like a man. You feel like, okay, there's no need to go out
Until you get worse.
until they get worse. So it's not. It goes all around. Your physical health, your mental health. At the end of the day, we are losing able-bodied men that will add more to the society, right? That would pay tax, right, and make Nigeria better.
Okay, let's touch the mental part, the mental aspect of it.
Okay.
Still on this men sucking things up and not wanting to share. We have lots of issues in relationships and marriage, divorce cases. Women complain of their men not opening up and all that. We have lots of cases of toxic masculinity now. Extreme, they call them the red pill or something. You see a man, extreme end of masculinity. Yes, I know you want to be a man, you want to take charge, head of house. But there's a line. There is a line. I don't have statistics, but I think I stand to be corrected. I think the number of men that are narcissists are more than women that are narcissists. Because this may not be.
We don't have this.
We don't have this, so let's what is gist. Because these men it's all about them.
Yeah.
It's me. What you're doing, me. And calm down. This person is your partner. Okay, let's not even go into it. Even friendship. This person is your friend. You hear men say things like, "You be man, you want to tell woman waiting they do you, waiting they work." I mean,
Come to think of it, like I said, most of these things boils down to parenting styles. I'm sure most of us, if we actually listen to our parents talk about their parents, they will tell you, my grandfather used to beat my grandmother, and she misbehaved, my grandfather would beat
yeah,
her.
so they think it's normal when a woman misbehaves to beat her.
And come to think of it, if you give birth to a child does not just talk immediately.
Mm-hmm.
A child will watch you,
Yeah.
picks up from what you're doing, what you're saying, right? That is how a child gets to talk. Of course, that's how they build their languages.
Mm.
So it's the same way with behaviors. Like you can tell a child not to smoke as a father, but if you smoke, I'm sorry, the child will do more.
They will start hiding and smoking. Before you know it comes out, and you won't be able to control the child
You
anymore.
understand? So it has to do with modeling as well, right? If you want your child to do a certain thing, model that thing to the child. You can go somewhere, go far. I'm not hide your thing and do there. But what you want you want your child to do the right thing. Model that thing to the child. So it is very, very common for people to, come out and say, oh, I'm a man and this and that. But that is what we are used to in this part of the world, right? That is the culture. You understand? So it is very, very difficult. Of course, I feel like with enough awareness, we'll get there. The change needs to start from somewhere, right? But the masculinity, extreme masculinity, like you mentioned, did not just start now. I think it's even getting better to a
Really
large
better.
extent. Yes,
Hey,
yes.
hey.
Of course, before a man would probably punish his wife, tell his wife to kneel down or flog her or tell her to go to the farm, she doesn't even have a dream of her own, like what we used to
Yeah.
have our grandparents, our great great grandparents. It's actually better now. It's just that what is happening now is more of the mental aspect of it, like
Yeah.
the psychological aspect of it. That is what is happening now, where you see people gaslighting, where you see lots of narcissists and all that. It's quite different now, but it started from somewhere, right? We have this belief that men are the head. It's in the Bible, of course, men are the head. But that doesn't mean that you should not realize the fact that the women are the neck as well, right? That doesn't mean that the word of God still says, show love your wife, like Christ died for the church. But most times we tend to ignore that part, right, and stick to
Being the head.
yes. So, and being the head, of course, there's no way you'll be a good leader without serving, right? So I think these are what we need to instill in our boys as we grow up. Yeah.
Then please can you talk about men being more present in their children's life? Because yes, there are societal expectations. The man is supposed to be the provider and all that. You see families where the children don't get to see their father for sometimes the whole year, for months. They just know daddy is traveling and coming, but daddy leaves very early in the morning, comes back at night when they are asleep and all. They will tell, then when you talk or when the woman wants to complain that you're not in this child's life, you hear things like, I cannot be going out to provide and still be, you are the woman, now woman get house. I mean,
Of course, now woman get house, but now the man be the head man.
you know there's this thing where growing up, if your mom tells you not to do something, you can't have mommy please now, this kind of, but once you hear your father said,
Okay, that's another.
yes, your father said, and like you said, yes, there are some men now that are making efforts to create this atmosphere where the children can come and sit and this I want to do this and that. But I think you should talk more, help us tell our male folks that see, be more present in the children's life. Many men die lonely. Because
When they are older.
yes, when they are older, they die lonely.
Yeah.
Is a woman or go for Google. Everybody on social media, I want to buy a car for my mama. What happens to you?
So I'm sorry, I want to digress a bit.
Okay.
So the other day, it's not like I'm casting myself, but let me just put it out there. So I went for a conference actually, and we had this buffet and all that. And suddenly this gift came. My daughter would like this cake and this. And while I was trying to get a takeaway pack to get something back home, not like I cannot buy it. It's not that I don't have food at home, but I just felt the need to have that, for my kids, right? So I noticed that most of the women did the same thing. The men that we had there would, what they did was they would just get their food, go to the table, eat, and all that. And I meant, in fact, I think I mentioned to one of my colleagues, I was like, at the end of the dinner, they were saying, it's their mother that is teaching them. Now we're bringing all these incentives. And you feel like the child will not be closer to
the
us
mom
and all that. We understand the fact that men need to go out and work and do the needful and the necessary stuff. Women are working too now. Women are really working hard. But please, we need to beg our men, please. It's not all about going out to provide. When you have time, when you're back home, try to bond with the kids. Ask them
Yes.
about their day, how their days went. Ask them about their friends in school. Make yourself available for them. Let them be able to come to you and talk to you
Yes.
when they have any difficulty. Probe,
Yes.
right? Probe. What happened today? What happened to your uniform? What has this finished? Or what new friends did you make today? And all that. Did somebody hurt you today? Ask those kind of questions while you're probing. Even if they've forgotten something like a very important information, it's possible that they will remember and they'll say, "Oh, that is something like this happened. I experienced this. Oh, I made a new friend today. That friend touched this part of my body. That friend said we should do this type of play and all that." That is where we get all this information from. But when we have parents that do not, make themselves available, these children tend to open up to the wrong set of people, or even repress all these emotions and all these things that they are going through. And it just makes them feel like nobody cares actually. And eventually, I actually have seen some clients that when you ask them, they'll be like, "My father is a good man, he's a good man, but was only there to provide for
Yes.
us. He wasn't really present, it was all about his work and all that." And at the end of the day, you see these people down with depression, severe depression, most times. And to even open up is very, very strange because
Very, very
when that
strange.
one starts now, you need to start encouraging them to try to open up. You need to counsel the parents as well. You understand? So it goes a long way. Most times, parents do not have the intention to neglect
Okay.
physically, psychologically, emotionally, medically, educationally, in every way. Most times, it's not like parents have the intention to neglect, but most times they are not equipped with the right knowledge as well. So we need to do more to create awareness, to encourage, to let them know, how. I understand that churches now do, although they've been doing it, marriage counseling and all that. But I wish there was actually a particular kind of counseling for before you have children, like how to raise your children,
Yes.
both male and female. Like I think we need to do more of that now. You understand? So
Do you think someone asked a question on Twitter, I think some months ago? Do you think a man can be a good father and a bad husband?
I doubt it. You cannot a bad husband, right? That means you're mistreating your wife.
Yes, and but you're being
Right.
a good father to the kids. Does that make
It's-
sense?
No, it doesn't actually make sense. Because the first way to be a good father is to love your wife.
Mhm.
Right? The most important part of being a good father is to love your wife. When you love your wife, your children sees you, they are happy. They see their mother happy.
Yeah.
A sad woman would displace, like, transfer of aggression, right, on the kids, right? So you can feel like maybe you feel like you're a good father, you're giving them this, you're taking them out. But when they're with their mom, how is the situation like? It's not balanced. It's actually not balanced. So no, I don't think that's something.
Okay. Wow. I really love this. I really love this topic. I have always wanted to talk about the boy child because over the years, girl child, girl, we know I'm a girl, I'm a woman, so I understand. We are delicate, we are soft, special, and all that. But these men are humans too.
Yes.
You,
Their babies actually.
you're releasing your secrets. Yes, men can be big babies when they get comfort, and you won't entirely blame these men. Some men have actually tried to open up, and women use it against them. You see, there are situations where something is going on with the man, his wife does not even know, but his best friend knows.
He's not comfortable enough.
He's not comfortable enough to open, but that is not what it's supposed to be.
It's quite wrong anyway. We need to change the narrative. At the end of the day, I used to say it's either male or female. When you're getting married, you need to pick your devil. Sorry for my. You need to pick your witch. You get so.
My friend will say,
Scratches.
my friend, my friend will say,
It's my
my friend will say, everybody is mad. Just pick your own person and point the person I'm waiting on.
right. So the thing is, know your partner.
Mm.
Know your partner actually. But it's good to actually end up with somebody with conscience.
Yeah.
Okay, just know that this person has conscience, right? And the person loves God. It's two ways, though. It's not only for the women, not only
Yeah.
just two ways. So then when you I think religion also helps, right?
Mhm.
Will I say religion now or knowing God, either Christian or Muslim, right? You know that there are certain there are certain guidelines, right? There are verses that in the Bible and all that actually encourages how a man should act towards his wife, how a woman should act towards her husband, and
Yeah.
all that. So a good woman knows not to expose her husband's secret.
Okay.
A good woman knows not to expose her husband's weaknesses,
Mhm.
either to your friends or your relatives and all that. So at the end of the day, please we try to encourage men to open up more. It is quite important. If you cannot open up to your wife, please. It's not only when it's full blown psychosis that people go to mental health facilities. You can just go and book an appointment and pour out your heart. Talk to somebody, talk to a professional that will help
Yeah.
you with a better coping mechanism, teach you how to, handle things. If it's important to invite your partner, if it's important to invite the relevant, significant others, like you do that. So please, we want our men to open up more, regardless. We want our men to open up more because when you it's like when you fill a bottle or a cup with objects or with water, when it's full to the brim, what happens? Any little drop will go out. When you keep things to yourself a whole lot, it's just one small tiny thing like that will happen and
Explode.
you would explode
Yeah.
and all that. So we are trying as much as possible to encourage men to not let it get to that point where you explode, so to say, right? When you feel like, oh, this thing is already affecting your mental health, it's affecting your sleep, it's affecting your eating habits, it's affecting your work, it's affecting your concentration and all that. Know it is time to get help. Know that is the right time to actually seek for help. God help us.
Wow. So, our dear men, from me to you, we love you. You are saying, we hear you. We do not want you to feel neglected. On behalf of 71 Media, we want to say this month, as the Men's Mental Health Month, take your mental health seriously. To the men that don't feel seen, the men that don't feel heard, the men that are battling with suicidal thoughts, the men that feel like they are drowning, the men that feel the pressure of the world upon them, seek help. You are not weak when you seek for help. You are not weak when you talk about your problems. You are not weak when you show emotions. When you care about the people you claim to care about, when you show empathy, you are not weak. These are the things that make you a human being. Talk, open up, talk to your partner, talk to your friends, talk to a professional. A therapist is not just for the female folks. Men too go for therapy and they get help. So this is another exciting session. We hope that our men out there are happy that we're talking to them, we're talking about them. Thank you very much. Remember to follow us on our social media platforms on Instagram at 71 Media Limited, on Facebook at 71 Media Limited, on TikTok at Issues and Society Podcast, on YouTube at Issues and Society Podcast, on X at 71 Media Limited. I remain your favorite host, Coco. Bye.